You've probably done yoga at some point, maybe in a gym, maybe through an app. You rolled out the mat, took a deep breath, stretched into a pose, and felt something ancient, something powerful. But here's what no one tells you. Yoga wasn't always this global billion-dollar wellness trend. It wasn't always about fitness, flexibility, or mindfulness. Just over 100 years ago, the Western world had no idea what yoga was. It was misunderstood, dismissed, even feared. And then, one man changed everything. He walked into a conference in 1893. He wore no suit, he had no wealth, no microphone, only a saffron robe, a fearless voice, and a soul on fire with truth. This is the story of Swami Vivekananda, the man who didn't just bring yoga to the West, he redefined it for the modern world. We begin in India, 19th century, a land of spiritual tradition but under colonial rule. A culture rich in wisdom, yet seen as primitive by the British Empire. Yoga at the time was not a mainstream practice. It was hidden in the forests, taught by sages in silence. It wasn't a global movement. It was a personal path, a way to master the body, calm the mind, and realize the divine within. But the world didn't know that. The Western world had no idea that such a science existed, that a path this profound could come from the East. And then came a monk, young, fierce, brilliant. Born as Narendranath Datta in 1863 in Kolkata, he was no ordinary child. He questioned everything. He searched for truth in temples, scriptures, and saints. And when he met Sri Ramakrishna, the fire inside him ignited. After his guru passed, he took the name Swami Vivekananda, which means the bliss of discernment, the joy of discrimination, the power of wisdom. And from that moment on, he became unstoppable. Vivekananda wasn't interested in sitting in caves. He wasn't content preaching only to those who already believed. He had a mission: to awaken the soul of humanity. When he heard about the world's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, he knew this was the chance to speak, not just to India, but to the world. He didn't have a first-class ticket. In fact, he barely had enough money to travel. He relied on disciples and well-wishers who believed in his fire. He traveled across the sea with no certainty of being accepted. And when he arrived in America, he faced a wall of rejection. He was denied entry. He was told to go back. He was a stranger in a strange land, with brown skin, Eastern robes, and no credentials. But true power doesn't ask for permission. It creates its own doorway. And on September 11, 1893, when he finally stepped onto the stage in Chicago, the world changed. He began with 7 words: "Sisters and Brothers of America." The crowd rose to its feet. Not because he was famous, but because those words, spoken with such love and conviction, pierced through centuries of division. That day, Swami Vivekananda didn't just speak about Hinduism. He introduced the world to the soul of India and to the path of yoga. He said, "We believe not only in tolerance but in acceptance. The Hindu refuses to call you a sinner. He tells you that you are God." He wasn't there to convert. He was there to connect, to remind the West that spirituality wasn't foreign, it was universal. He spoke of Raja Yoga, the royal path of mind mastery, not rituals, not dogma, but concentration, self-discipline, and union with the divine. The crowd listened, then they leaned in, then they couldn't look away. Vivekananda didn't present yoga as just a physical practice. He said clearly, yoga is the science of the mind. The aim is to stop the waves of thought and realize the self within. He explained the 4 major paths: Raja Yoga, control of the mind and meditation; Karma Yoga, the yoga of action and selfless service; Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion and love; Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge and wisdom. These weren't abstract ideas. They were frameworks for living, tools for freedom. To a Western audience unfamiliar with Indian spirituality, this was revolutionary. Until then, yoga was seen as exotic or esoteric, but Swami Vivekananda showed them, this is a science, this is a discipline, this is a way of life. But let's be clear, it wasn't easy. He was challenged, criticized, dismissed by some scholars as too Eastern, and by others as not Indian enough. He navigated racism. He dealt with loneliness. He often went without food, without shelter. But the fire within him never dimmed. He spoke in universities, churches, homes, to rich industrialists and poor laborers. He taught that the soul was beyond caste, beyond race, beyond creed, and slowly minds began to open. Not because he watered down yoga, but because he honored its depth and made it practical. In just a few short years, he sparked something unstoppable. His lectures were printed in newspapers across America and Europe. His book, Raja Yoga, became a bestseller, introducing meditation, pranayama, and the 8 limbs of yoga to the Western reader. He inspired the creation of spiritual centers. He planted the seeds for future teachers. Paramahansa Yogananda, BKS Iyengar, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, all who would follow the trail he blazed, and even after he returned to India, the fire he lit kept spreading. Today we have yoga festivals, yoga studios, yoga apps, but behind all of that, behind the leggings and mantras, stands the voice of one man who stood up when no one else could: Swami Vivekananda. Here's the tragedy. Most people today have no idea who he was. We've made yoga about flexibility, about relaxation, about posture. But yoga is not about touching your toes. It's about touching your truth. Swami Vivekananda didn't bring yoga to make people calm. He brought yoga to make people courageous, to wake them up, to shake them out of their spiritual sleep. He said, you have to grow from the inside out. None can teach you, none can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul. That is yoga, not a class, not a brand, but a return to who you truly are. Now, more than ever, we need this wisdom. In a world of noise, yoga brings silence. In a world of chaos, it brings stillness. In a world of division, it brings unity, but only if we remember its source. Swami Vivekananda was not a yoga influencer. He was a warrior of the spirit. He stood in the face of ignorance and said, I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. That spirit still lives in every breath we take on the mat, if we choose to remember. So the next time you practice yoga, take a moment, close your eyes, and silently thank the man who made that moment possible. Thank the monk who walked into the unknown, spoke truth to power, and offered the world not just a practice, but a path to liberation. This is the story of Swami Vivekananda, the man who brought yoga to the West. And now, it's our duty to keep the flame alive. Have you ever practiced yoga? What does it mean to you? A physical exercise or a spiritual journey? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more real stories from the lives of legends like Swami Vivekananda, subscribe now and watch our next video right here. Because ancient wisdom is only powerful when it's passed on. Thank you for watching, and as always, arise, awake, and stop, not till the goal is reached.